He probably got this weird swing hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, if I had that swing, you better believe I'd leave that sucker up for you.
Would you really?
Hell yeah.
You'd let me put you in it?
Yeah.
With a gag ball and everything?
Yeah, babe.
The footage we just showed you is not of a random couple. It is the recording of a conversation between a female cop and a convicted murderer. And this conversation happened inside a prison. Today, we're looking into 3 cases where female cops seduced suspects and tried to take advantage of them. Let's head over to Montgomery County Jail, where a jail deputy is under suspicion of sexual activity with an inmate. The deputy, Charlene Diane O'Banion, is questioned over her possible relationship with an inmate.
We were notified of a possible improper relationship between you and Jacob Parker. So we're here for that. I just kind of wanted to talk to you about it and get your side of that story.
I don't know anything about it. I mean,
have you talked to him on any jail phone calls or anything like that?
no.
None at all? Okay. And where would you think that, like, this allegation would come from if there's nothing to it?
Well, I had a feeling this was coming. So there was an inmate named Coker, Justin Coker.
Okay.
And he got out of here for I don't know what period of time. And he tried to contact me on Facebook. And he sent me a message and I blocked him on Facebook. And I guess one time Parker was going back to Equat to use the bathroom, and he was talking like at the window with me, like at Equat, because I was in Equat. He was talking through the window, and I guess Coker like didn't like that, which I had no contact with him or anything. And Parker had told me that he had gone up to him and was like, "Don't talk to her," or something crazy like that.
So I'm just not trying to be rude here. I'm just, Why would you expect this conversation to come up from that? Like now, if that happened a few months ago, I'm just trying to get where you're getting at there.
Over here, Charlene states that she thinks that something like this would be coming, but her explanation for why doesn't make a lot of sense. A simple interaction between an inmate and a guard of that degree is nowhere near enough to warrant an investigation. Even at this point, you can tell she just wants all of this to be dismissed as something silly, but it's only making it more suspicious.
So I don't know exactly how it started, like who it started from. But I was told that it was brought to somebody's attention, and then we looked at jail calls, and there's jail calls between you and Parker, and all that stuff's recorded. So I don't think you're being completely truthful. Well, I kind of know that you're not. And I'm not trying to be rude when I say that.
Yeah, no.
I'm just kind of trying to lay it out on the table for you. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of tell me what's going on here?
I guess a few years ago, we talked, and then I ended up here, and then he ended up here. I didn't know he was here. It wasn't anything like that.
At this point, Charlene has already admitted that she did in fact know Jacob Parker, a fact that she had lied about and tried to hide just a short while ago.
So what about some of these phone conversations?
No, not here or the phone.
I just mean conversations y'all are having on the phone.
No.
Since he's been in here.
Like
Well, I'm not saying having phone talking about sexual acts. From what I'm listening to on the calls, I take it as that you've given him oral at some point, is what I gathered from these calls.
No, that was like in the world, but we never dated. We just. Okay.
What kind of conversations have you had with him since you've started working here and he's been in the jail?
Talking about what would happen after he got out.
Okay. And then the jail call recordings, have you been talking to him like while you're at home? Like he calls you from the jail while you're at home, or? Okay. I haven't listened to this, but apparently there may be some talk in the calls about like photographs. Have you given him any photographs?
Mm-mm. I gave him a photograph of his mom, which he had asked for, and of his dog, Jax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you given him any photographs of you?
Mm-mm.
So one of the things we're going to be doing is like looking at cameras and stuff too. Has there been any times where y'all were alone?
Mm-mm.
Or you go out of camera view or anything like that? Anything that's going to look suspicious that way?
I don't think so.
Charlene maintains that her relationship with Jacob Parker at the correctional facility has been nothing but professional. The detectives know a lot more than they're letting on and keep giving Charlene chances to come clean. Unfortunately, she doesn't take any of them and has no idea what's coming her way.
Hey, baby.
Got that.
Baby, guess what?
What, babe?
I just won the blackjack game.
Yay.
I just won $30.
I got a lot of stuff to clean and get rid of before you come home. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just fucking with you. I was trying to make you think I have all these secret things.
Yeah, I bet you do.
What?
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 Oh, you probably got this weird swing hanging from the ceiling. Probably thinks it's a swing set.
Oh, if I had that swing, you better believe I'd leave that sucker up for you.
Would you really?
Hell yeah.
You'd let me put you in it?
Yeah.
With a gag ball and everything?
Yeah, babe. I just want you to look at me sometimes and be like, damn, my woman's fine.
Fine as wine. And you got a live ass game. Oh my god.
It wasn't my best moments. I was just trying to get it done.
Meh, meh. Are you in bed?
Don't even get me thinking about that because it makes me so horny. Like just going back and thinking about
Yeah.
that.
It gets you horny?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you felt me. I was like soaking through my clothes. I get very horny very easy. Like I always want to have, like that's not even, huh?
Not good.
I mean, it's not like I just like look at someone, I'm like, oh my God, I'm f***ing horny. No, like of course, like I only get horny for you.
Oh, okay.
You kind of see how that sounds from like my point of view. Like a more recent thing than 3 years ago.
It takes all she has to muster that no. It cannot, in any way, be easy to sit through listening to your own recordings, especially ones that are of this nature and are clearly incriminating you.
You talk about how profound this was, like this giving him this job was, but you like don't remember anything about it. It's like you're just telling me something, but you're having trouble coming up with details about it. You know what I mean? Like if it's that profound.
I mean, I gave him. How do you describe? I mean, is that
Well,
what you
I
want me
want
to
to know
do?
like about the problem. Just so if this is a
He just said
factual thing that happened 3 years ago, I feel like you would kind of remember some stuff about it. Like I feel
Yeah, I
like,
mean, like we said in the car,
like when I asked you who was there, him of course, like when y'all met or whatever, and then when I asked like who else, you said it was like a bunch of friends.
yeah.
But like you can remember one
I mean, I
kid's
was with
name
my
after
friend
you
Chris.
think about it for 30 seconds. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's not making sense to me.
You seem to have blanks in your memory when we get to certain details, but you remember being groped in the job from 3 years ago. I find that hard to believe. Okay? This is your one chance to be honest with us.
Yes.
Once we get up and walk out and we're done, we're done.
Yeah.
And honesty is the only thing that's going to help you with us.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice to you right now is to be honest with us. Have y'all had any inappropriate contact, whether it's groping, vaginal, anal, anything? Yes, I am being vulgar to get a point across.
Yeah, no, it's not. None of that.
Then what is it?
I might have given him a up in the back part of
In the back part
Equine.
of the equine? Okay. How long ago was that?
a few months ago.
Charlene finally gives in and admits her sexual relation with Jacob Parker. After all, not much was left once the detectives got their hands on those jail calls. In fact, this is just one jail call that they used, and there were over 400 calls between Charlene and Jacob Parker. Despite the relation being consensual, Charlene, as an officer at the facility, has undeniable power over Jacob Parker, the inmate. Situations with such a power dynamic can be very tricky and can quickly or easily become abusive, so under law, any such relation is illegal. For our next case, we take you to Fresno, California, where Tina Gonzalez, a former correctional officer at Fresno County Jail, was found to be having sex with an inmate. The sheriff's office had been tipped off about a possible sexual relationship between a guard and an inmate. Let's have a look at some of the details brought out by the investigation.
Cutting a hole in your pants to make it easier to have sex with an inmate and having intercourse in full view of 11 other inmates is something only a depraved mind can come up with.
Even the Fresno County Assistant Sheriff said that in his 26 years of service at the sheriff's office, he has seen some pretty disturbing things, but this topped the list.
And at times communicated sensitive information to the inmate about individuals that were entering the inmate's pod, as well as times and places or times when the pod would be searched.
Unfortunately, that's not all. Tina Gonzalez was also found to be providing razor blades, a cell phone, and critical intelligence to the inmate, which not only put other inmates and her fellow officers in danger, but betrayed her very oath as a correctional officer. Tina's lawyer comes out to say that her relationship with the inmate started around the time that her marriage was falling apart. Making a timeline of things showed that the relationship went on for a year before it was discovered and has continued since then.
The fact that she continually calls, has sexually explicit conversations with the inmate in question, and even boasts about the crimes she carried out shows that she's incapable of owning up to her mistakes and will undoubtedly continue in the future.
Throughout the proceeding, Tina Gonzalez remained silent, and what's worse is that she was still in contact with the inmate after everything that happened. None of her actions, including these continued calls, show any signs of remorse for her actions.
I think what you did was terrible, stupid. You ruined your career. You endangered your fellow officers. But I also believe that people can redeem themselves. You got the rest of your life to prove that.
Having said that, Tina Gonzalez pleaded no contest to these charges and was sentenced to 7 months in prison, followed by 2 years of probation. For our last clip today, we take you to Clinton County, New York. Over here, we have an unforgettable incident at the Clinton Correctional Facility. In 2015, there were 2 murderers, both on life sentences, who escaped the correctional facility and resulted in a 3-week manhunt, the largest ever in the state of New York. All of this started with some harmless flirting between the 2 inmates and a prison worker, Joyce Mitchell. Over here, we have Joyce making some statements.
While these 2 men were on the loose, I never intended for any of this to happen. As hard as it was to come forward, I knew I had to. I was raised to tell the truth. I know I didn't come out at first and be completely honest, but I did bring myself to the state police and tried to help as much as I could. I'm afraid it didn't help though.
Joyce is absolutely right here. Her coming out didn't help the investigation as it could have. Joyce had known for weeks that the inmates were planning an escape and making their way through the back of their cells, but she did nothing. She was in fact the very person who gave these inmates chisels, hacksaw blades, and several other tools that became the means of their escape. She was even supposed to be their getaway driver, but backed out last minute.
I was fearful of Mr. Matt threatening to kill my husband and wanting to know where my son and my mother lived. I could not let anything happen to my husband and family. I love them all so much. I love them more than life itself, Your Honor. I'm not a bad person. I clearly made a horrible mistake. I realize I need to be responsible for my actions. But I am hoping you will have mercy on me, Your Honor. No words can explain how deeply sorry I am. I am very fearful of the consequences I'm facing, as should I be. Please know I am seeking mental health and counseling to help me understand my actions, affected the community, my family, myself, and all who were involved. Why I did what I did, I shall not know, other than I was scared for my husband and family's lives. I know I should have told someone, but Mr. Matt had others watching and reporting to him about where and what myself and my husband were doing at all times. This is something I will never forget nor forgive myself for.
In another interview, Joyce also said that there was never any love, and even if that was true, it's more than likely that there was something there. Joyce's story that the inmates had threatened her husband proves a little difficult to believe. After all, she was working for the prison, the one with power, over these inmates. She should have had plenty of opportunities to expose their plan. That is, unless there was something more, or if Joyce was afraid her sexual relation with one or more of the inmates would also be exposed. Joyce had allegedly been performing sexual favors for at least one of the inmates. Another inmate at the Clinton facility reported that she and David Sweat would regularly disappear into a stockroom for 30 minutes, and that it was a running joke that they were boyfriend and girlfriend.
And to be perfectly clear, Ms. Mitchell, and you're still under oath from the date of the plea, you do reaffirm your pleas of guilty to these two charges. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
More than one letter writer has asked that I reject the negotiated sentence. There may be others who have been following this matter who feel the same way.
Many people felt that the proposed sentencing as part of the plea deal for Joyce Mitchell was too lenient, especially considering her relation with the inmates and the fact that they were both murderers on life sentences, with David Sweat being a convicted cop killer. However, as per the law, the judge made no changes to the deal and commented that this falls under the responsibility of the prosecution, who seem to have done their job.
You did terrible things. As far as the economic damage your actions caused, the Inspector General, Catherine Leahy Scott, indicates that to date, New York State has incurred almost $23 million in overtime costs alone related to the manhunt. Considering all the other costs associated with the escape and the investigation, there can be no doubt that millions of dollars more have been expended.
The judge goes on to highlight the degree of damage caused by Joyce's actions.
A large portion of the local population were terrorized. Many were forced to flee their homes. Some did not have places to go and had to rent hotel rooms or leave the area. Many residents did not sleep for many nights, afraid that these two extremely violent individuals might be outside their homes. Roadblocks and limited access to certain areas caused businesses to shut down or limit their hours, causing economic pain to many. And then we have the law enforcement officers. They traversed very inhospitable territory, never knowing if the next step they took in deeply wooded areas might be their last. And think of their families at home, sick with concern and fright for their loved ones. At any time, you could have stopped the escape from happening. You state that you proceeded in the way you did out of fear for what might happen to your husband. And you further state that you, quote, did the wrong thing for the right reason to save my husband's life and my family, end quote. Similarly, at another point you said, quote, I was trying to save my husband, end quote. Ms. Mitchell, I just don't find that explanation credible. Your husband's life would not have been more endangered by exposing the plot to escape. While you express remorse for the harm you caused the community, you also stated that you believe the negotiated sentence is too harsh. Taking into consideration all the various sentencing factors, I can assure you, you have nothing to complain about with the negotiated sentence. For the reasons stated, I will approve the sentence and proceed as follows.
Once again, Joyce's explanation is called out, and it seems like the only reason she wouldn't have come forward before is to hide her own sexual relations with the inmates, and the inmates, knowing this, took advantage of that.
As a result, from your conviction for promoting prison contraband in the first degree, you are sentenced to 2 1/3 years to 7 years. You are also fined the maximum fine of $5,000. As a result of your conviction for criminal facilitation in the 4th degree, I sentence you to a definite term of 1 year, concurrent to the just imposed sentence for promoting prison contraband in the 1st degree, and I fine you a fine of $1,000.
At the end of it all, Joyce Mitchell had pleaded guilty and admitted to having a sexual relationship with Richard Matt. On the other hand, at the end of the 3-week manhunt, Matt was shot and killed, while Sweat was shot and taken back into custody. Mitchell was sentenced to 7 years in prison with $80,000 in restitution charges. In 2020, after 5 years in prison, Joyce Mitchell was released and would remain in oversight.